Hello everybody, my name is Corey Bennett, and today we are going to be doing another test. For this one, before we jump in, I want to get into some answers to some questions that I've gotten on some places that the former ones was shared at, and it's talking about how I did what I did. So, real quick, just image this as my inputs. It doesn't really matter what it is as far as speech be speech text or keyboard being keyboard, and this goes into the LM. Now the big thing to note is the LM that I'm using is a 7 billion parameter, or 7B, and a lot of people there are confused about the speed. And one of the things I'm finding is a lot of people, they're trying to do this type of stuff that I do in these videos with higher, basically stronger LMs, large language models. In reality, you don't need to do that. What I find is you got to ask, what is the purpose of the large language model? Like, what is its actual task? And it really comes down to two major things. The first is to do quick lines, one line type of thing for conversational and stuff like that. And the second is to figure out what I'm asking for. A 7 billion can do that quite easily. When you go into higher stuff with the higher logical reasoning, and also the more fluency in the text, it makes no sense to have that for a conversational, because you're not having the thing do a long monologue. You're having it do quick one line type of deal. That's actually very important, because when you get into the code itself, what happens, and just images as code, what happens is the LLM, its main job is to figure out what I want. So let's say, for example, I say turn off my ship or turn on my ship, or I say I don't want my ship on. All those things, and we can hear and understand what I'm asking for. Obviously, turn off my ship, turn on my ship is strong commands. It knows exactly, anyone knows that. But if I say something like I don't want my ship on anymore, well, the thing has to figure out. I'm basically saying turn off my ship, and with that, once it figures it out, and hopefully it does it right, it spits out a single line. And what I have in the code itself is actual. If this line is said, then press this button. If this line is said, then press this button, and so on. And what that does is it allows a quick, and keep in mind, you can have the large language model shorthand the stuff by a lot. And so basically what it does is it does a simple off on, gear, put the landing gear down, stuff like that. And you don't need to have a long whatever, because the longer it is, the more delay you're going to get within the model itself. And you just need to have something just enough for the code. It can literally be a number, like you can literally be looking for a single number, but it needs to be something that is unique. What happens is, from there, the code looks at it and says, oh, X was said, and I need to press this button, or this was said, and I need to press that button. And with that, it knows not to say these things, not to output that to the player. Now, let's assume that it doesn't see anything on that list. It then goes and figures that that is something that it should go to the player. So if it's not on this short list, again, short characters, so you minimize the delay, and you're only talking about like even if you did have it long, it wouldn't really be that long, because you're talking about just raw code. that just interprets it. So if it's not if it's not that, then it pushes it out as something to be said to the player, and from that, what you can do is do a queue, and without getting too deep into it to overcomplicate this, um, what you can do is, as it's coming out, have it queued up, because you can actually have a full on conversation. Notice that when it's doing this back and forth, it doesn't. Let me it doesn't cut off itself. There's no way, or at least I can't find a way for it to do that, to cut off another bot mid sentence. Um, you might be able to do it with multiple LLMs, but then you run into a problem like before, that you're going to cause so much delay and lag in the whole system that it just becomes useless. So I mean, in theory, you could have one LLM per bot, or just have like two or three on standby, and it picks a random one, and that way you have the thing going off and cutting each other off if it needs to be, as far as the whatever. But you could, in theory, program that into the model itself, where if say for example, um, it tried to create a quick story, you can have it where character A cuts off character B, because notice that they're just doing a quick back, they're doing a back forward, and they're rarely including the player in itself. And when it does include the player, it wants information, very direct, very exact stuff. But the rest of it's back forward between them, because it's already it's basically a scripted scenario that the large language model made. So in theory, with that, it could do cutoffs, but again, it's a scripted thing within it. If you want it to be unscripted and highly reactive, more realistic, then you would have to use more. But again, you run into problems with doing that, and it's not realistic to bring that locally. Do it online, yeah, it's probably, you can probably do it there. All right, so you can queue it up, and basically you're looking at single lines, or just one or two lines, and this puts out a very quick um, blurb of whatever speech, and depending on which system you use, is depending on the speed. And notice that the audio is obviously not great, and unfortunately, it's what I got, and I'm working on it. But with that one in mind, is the better system that you got right now, for the slower it's going to be, because the code's really not optimized worth crap. Something to note is, from my understanding, Microsoft has a few things in works for text to speech, and that might be a solution to the problem. And it might even speed up this process a bit, and you can actually probably do long form after that point. But for this right here, right now, we have to kind of just go with a queuing system. And what happens is, you can actually run multiple of these, depending on what you're doing. You can actually run multiple of them, but just note that the limitation of your system, so you can actually do that. On some systems, you can only do it one at a time. So just note that it would create a little bit extra delay into that, into itself, and also the quality and all the other stuff. You want to keep that in mind. Now, what some people have found with some of these things is, if you fine tune it per voice, you can actually get a high quality. I just haven't done that and really don't care to do that. But you can get a high quality voice and also get a extremely quick output. But you have to fine tune it to do that. Now, another thing that I got with it that I haven't shown yet, and I don't know if it'll show up in this video. I'll show you if it does. Is time. So what happens is let's actually go back. So what happens is the thing has a time function, and what happens is you can do for those who don't know who's not familiar with coding, you can use a random number generator in the code itself, and you can. And what I have is within this time to this time. So within the first 5 minutes after a event, the chances of it starting a new event is 1%. So first 5 minutes is 1% likeliness that it's going to go out and do anything. And what I got is when it does hit that, it can either cue you, so it can say, "Hey, what are you doing?" or "Where are we going?" or whatever it may be, or it might do some more banter between the AIs. And after that banter, it has a 1% within the first 5 minutes to do it again, and that way it doesn't overload and keep going, keep going, keep going. And what I have is every minute after that, it gradually goes up by 5%, 10%, and so on until it gets to 50%. And that way, eventually, it gets to the point where it's a 50-50 if it's going to start. And it does a check every 15 seconds. So that way, it sees it basically rolls the dice every 15 seconds, and the chances of it actually hitting gradually goes up over time for it to actually do some more banter and stuff like that. And obviously, with these, you can change and whatnot. It's very easy to code that in. And by the way, for those of you who want to code this stuff, what you can do, and this is like a really simple thing to do, is go to ChatGPT or really any of the things. But ChatGPT is very good with this. Ask it to teach you how to code, or more so, tell it what you want it to do, because all this is going to be in Python, and it will write the code and tell it, walk me through the code, teach me the code, what does this do, and ask questions. And the chat GPT will fine tune the code for you as it's walking through. So you say, oh, I want it to do this and not that, and it will fine tune it as it goes through, but it will also explain what each line does and why did it add it. It does a very good job at that. So just note that. And just note that there is other LLM models that is excellent with coding, far better than GPT, but GPT is, easy access, and, don't really have to worry about this other stuff. So anyways, you have a chance of that, of random dialogue and whatever. Now, here's where the problem comes in, is you have what happens is, say for example, AI A and AI B got in a fight, AI A shot AI B. Well, you don't want within that they shot each other, and then 5 minutes later or whatever, they're going off for pizza. No, they killed one AI, so it needs to keep up the theme. So now we got into memory, or mem. So from there, what happens is, before it starts any of this, it recalls from the memory, and this does delay it, so just note that. But if it's a random thing, you won't ever notice it, because again, it's random. It'll recall from that, it'll recall the last scenarios, and it will continue on from that. So just note that. Now, if you're prompting it, there is a slight delay. So just note that it's not a huge delay. You're talking about like seconds. In some systems, I imagine it might be a minute or so, but it depends on how filled up the that part is and what's going on. But you can actually have that in that way. It continues the scenario on and on and on, and that way it doesn't do a new scenario every time a new event happens. So just note that. And like, say for example, I could say that um, I hadn't done this yet. I might do it in the future now that I'm thinking about it. But I might say, oh, we're mining, and I might create an event in itself. I might say, or scenario, I might say, oh, I think I see a person out there. Then I I might say, oh, it's Joe, the AI. He can't talk. He's dehydrated. Luna, take him and see if we can help him out, and it will create an entire scenario into itself right there. Now, I hadn't really done that, anything like that yet. All the agents are coded in as far as um, Luna, Freeman, whatever. But that would be interesting, and where it actually does a random voice to it, and also I need to set this stuff to male voices, female voices. It also needs to do uh, something that actually saves. Yeah, I think I could do that. That's something I might do in the future, if I remember. It won't be that hard to add it in. So, anyways, go back to sorry about rambling. So he uses memory to stay on the same track of logic and whatnot. Now, as far as the rest of the stuff, it's pretty straightforward. Again, you can ask ChatGPT to help you out coding and stuff. A lot of it's pretty simple, and you can use illusions into it to make it seem like something's happening. So, for example, one of the things I thought of is when it comes to memory and trying to get it to recall things. So I might say, hey, do you recall what you said last Tuesday type of thing? And a thing, because it's going to take a second or two to get the information. I might have it where it does ums and maybe makes sounds to indicate it's thinking, like it would with a real person, or use words, like or um, the like when people think that they say these words like to help them think as they go through things, because there's as they're processing their thought, they're having to put something out so the person knows that they're still talking, they're still there. At least that's my theory on it. Anyways, for the AI, for the agents, basically we have Luna. Um, for those who don't know, I for any AI I make, there's probably gonna be a Luna. I like the name, means moon, obviously. So then we got Angie, and sorry about the writing. And then we got Freeman. So how I got it set up, and there's a reason I got it set up like this. Luna is basically a natural angry person. The reason for this is easier to detect those type of emotions when dealing with it, because one of the things I'm trying to test for is a what's called a bleed over effect, is where the personalities will bleed over to other personalities, and it breaks the illusion into itself when it does that. So far I hadn't really ran into that, so that's a plus sign. But the reason why I don't like do happy happy is unless if it's at a stream, it's easy to detect anger, upset, stuff like that, negative emotions. I think it's because humans are more inclined to look out for that because someone's angry, someone's upset, whatnot. It can cause problems for through school and everything else. Servitude is drilled into your head, so you look out for these things, and it's just easier to detect. Angie's job is to tick off Luna. Freeman's job is to make it where they don't kill each other, and to make it where they're happy, like each other type of situation. And Freeman, because that has logic and reasoning. Angie is chaotic, and Luna is, it's whatever. So then we have other agents, and this is ATC. Then we have, and this is using the random voice and stuff like that. And then we have, in this case, this particular one is Tom, and it's a repair one. This is going to be an example for if you want to manually add in a agent and for storytelling purposes and see what happens. And for that, I got it marked as a repair person. So, and it creates a scenario and goes with that in itself. So I say that these are the agents, and run with it to figure out your story, and I'm getting it set up for that. So beyond that, things I've looked into that I probably will do in the future if I can get access to or at least figure this out is image recognition, something that might be possible. And problems I ran with ATT is it would spout out weird crap that has nothing to do with nothing. So ATC is very very limited in what it can say. Basically, it looks for the call sign. It looks for is it departure or landing, and it adjusts its speech based on that. So it's a very 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 one line thing, and its job is to basically press the departure or landing type of thing. So one of the things that I thought of that if I could figure out how to do it is have it where this is connected to a image recognition system, and that way it's looking at where you are and what you're doing. I say, for example, if we're mining the agents up here, they can look into things like the mineral that you're doing and where to sell it and stuff like that. So, for example, if it sees that, oh, you're mining cobalt, for example, where do you sell it? And is it valuable? Is it worthwhile to keep a while? And so on. And what they might do, if I can get the image recognition to work, and also get it to where it somehow recognizes where you are in a solar system. I don't know if I can ever do that, but if you could, then in theory you can say you can get it to tell you what type of minerals to look out for a given area, and what stations in the nearby area sell buy the ores at, and so on. And that way you can do your business, and the stuff will figure stuff out and let you know as you're going by, or you can just request for the information and it will be able to pull it up without you prompting where's your location and some of this other stuff. Again, right now I can't really figure that part out. I actually did look into how to get it to know where you're at. I don't really know if there is a way to do that. I have to take a look. Maybe there is something I'm missing, but as it is right now, I don't know. But as far as the other stuff with ATC, one of the things I thought of is if I could get it to recognize the location, something I think CIG should do is the ATC could say a blurb about, oh, check out whatever shop, or they can say a blurb about, oh, the admin office is buying whatever or selling whatever at a premium. And it's just a little bit of information that can come out in the dialogue, the natural dialogue when you're doing the landing or taking off or whatever it may be, and so stuff that ATC should know, and it makes it a little bit more realistic. So there's stuff like that is possible. Anyways, in this particular video, I'm going to be testing the memory side of things. I'm also going to be testing the reasoning of Freeman. I also tried to get it to tone back the cussing because that was like way too much. So note that. And also I added in an extra to see what type of scenario it will play out. And I'm just going from microtech to a nearby station and seeing what it happens. Obviously, it doesn't know where I'm going, where I'm coming from. So, keep that in mind. Hey, Luna, turn on my ship and request for departure.
Turning on now. Hey, Freeman, can you call Tower?
Sure, just give me a second. Tower, this is Alpha Alpha 55 requesting for takeoff.
Alpha Alpha 55, you are good to go. Fly safe.
Where is Angie? I haven't seen her in a while.
The last I seen her, she was near your room. By the way, are you two ever going to stop fighting?
I'm not sure. It depends on her. What was she doing near my room?
I'm not sure. Hey Angie, where are you?
You called for me?
We need you up here. Freeman said he's seen you near my room. What were you doing?
Well, before we get into that, Tom, that repairs ships at the port.
Yeah. Did you get him to fix the cooling like we told you?
Well, we went to your room to fix one of the problems, and I ended up borrowing a few things.
Oh, hey, I guess I forgot to tell my crew I'm on the ship, and I lost track of time with Angie. Nice bed, by the way. I guess I'm on for the ride. Can you drop me off at the next place?
Thanks, Tom. I was wanting to tell my crew so Luna doesn't freak out. But whatever. Tom is here.
How about instead of sleeping with any guy you come across, you actually do your job? If you did, then this wouldn't happen. Oh, and what did you borrow from my room?
Your bed. Thanks.
I'm going to shove you out the airlock.
Tom, so Luna doesn't actually mean it. This back and forward is pretty normal. It might be best if you just wait it out in the back. I will call you when we get to the next place.
I didn't see nothing, and I didn't hear nothing.
Ladies, please, let's try to focus on our mission instead of arguing all the time. Angie, if you pull another stunt like this, then you're off the team. Keep in mind, my vote is the only reason why you are still here. And Luna, try to be nice.
I will try, but Angie, you have to quit with these stunts. Also, you need to clean and wash anything you used in my room before I forgive you.
Request for landing.
Tower, this is Alpha Alpha 55. Request landing.
Alpha Alpha 55, we are ready.
Tom, we will be landing soon. Please get ready to get off the ship.
Okay, thanks.
Think about taking Angie with you.
Now, Luna, we talked about this